Hello and welcome to another video from Easy Geek TV. In this video we're going to demonstrate on how you can use the Linux system together with the Windows system side by side to boot into the desired operating system. Like you might want to choose Windows in on instance because there are a couple of things that there's no way you could do them on Linux, for example, for your own reasons and such. And of course, Linux. Now I want to mention a couple of things here. This series of videos have been centered with the Linux Mint Mate as the first-class citizen in the bare metal box, which means that this system is Linux-centered, not Windows-centered. Now, there are a couple of ways as well to dual boot. What I will do and demonstrate in this video, it will be dual drive boot. And the GRUB bootloader, the Linux Mint bootloader, will take over the boot sequence. Of course, there's a way to simply press the boot key of your system. In my case, is an ASRock motherboard, and you can just select the F11 key without doing any changes to your system, and also just let the GRUB bootloader take over the boot sequence. And it will give you the boot menu where you can select then which one you want to use. In this instance, I've managed to install Linux Mint separately without the Windows drive being even installed physically in the bare metal box in the computer per se. And actually, when I did the installation of Linux Mint, I disconnected the SSD drive physically. Then I did install the Windows system on it separately again. So these two systems at this point, they have got no knowledge of each other, sort of speaking. To demonstrate that, I'm going to restart the system here to show you that indeed at this point I've got both of the SSD drives connected. Let me restart the system. And once the restart is done, I'll just keep pressing the F11 key on the keyboard so that you can see the BIOS's on menu, boot menu. There you have it. So as you can see here, the first pre-selected one is the Linux Mint SSD. Of course, it shows up as Ubuntu because Linux Mint, as we know, is based on Ubuntu. And again, the second one is as well the same drive. But the third one is the backup disk drive, the spindle drive that we set during these videos. We set as the backup and sort of like a pool, data pool, right? Data pool, whatever. And the third one, as you can see here, is a 120 gigabytes of space SSD, which I've installed Windows in this. And as you can see, the fourth option is the exact same one, but shows up the Windows boot menu, bootloader. So in this case, like if you don't want to do any changes to it, you can use it as it is. But you have to press the motherboard's own boot menu key, which is F11 for ASRock, and if I recall correctly for Asus, it is F8. Yeah. So I've been using both of these systems. So this is sort of the first option, and you don't have to do any changes in here. Now, I do not recommend you use a single drive, and these videos have been centered around that, right? You do not want to use a single drive and have both of the system on the same drive, because Windows behaves like a bully and it always causes problems to you. So you won't be able then to load even the Windows boot menu, because GRUB takes over the boot sequence and it kind of becomes a bit complicated. You don't want to go that route. So separate drives, or what I call dual boot drive, is that you give Linux, the first class citizen, sort of is Linux centered. Your computer is Linux centered during these videos, right? Let's be clear about that, so you don't mess anything by mistake. Now I'm gonna get back to the Linux Mate, the Linux Mint Mate. I'm gonna log into that again. I'm gonna show you how you can set Linux Mint Mate as the sort of the pre-selected bootloader, and then it will show you so I'm gonna log into the system, right? how you can use the GRUB bootloader and add Windows to it. So then when Linux boots up, you actually got the Windows as an option to load them if you wish to, right? This is actually very simple, and you have to use the terminal in this case. Is the best and easier method. So let me increase the font size here so it's easier for you to see. I think that's pretty much good. Let's bring that a bit to the center. So here's what you want to type into. Sudo, or sudo for the old way a lot of people refer to. Sudo update dash grub, or GRUB, wherever you want to call it, depending on your language. And all you have to do is hit enter, give it your own password, and as you can clearly see here at the bottom, it says found Windows. Hold on, because it's, yeah, found Windows Boot Manager, and it's giving us the drive name and so on. So it's actually added it to the boot menu. So I'm gonna close the terminal now. Actually, hold on. There's a thing you might be you have to be aware of, is that let's say you've got system updates. If you don't do this manually to add the Windows Boot Manager to the Linux Mint Mate bootloader, like the option to show it to you once the system restarts, is that if there's a kernel update, which is the core of the operating system, if there's a kernel update in the upcoming updates and upgrades, you should know that every time the kernel upgrades or updates, this is being done automatically without you doing anything. I'll demonstrate after we've shown this this piece of the video, this part of the video actually. I'll demonstrate how you can remove that if you don't wish it to be there, right? All you have to do is to just physically disconnect the Windows SSD and update the GRUB with the exact same command we did on top here, sudo update dash grub. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to restart the system. As I'm recording the video via a USB device, this is a bit laggy, so please bear with me. I'm going to just restart the system here. Actually, no, I just want to start, but as I said, this is a bit laggy due to the USB recording device. So let's restart the system. There you go. And now, once this is restarted, you're going to see at the boot menu, it will show Windows at the bottom of the selection. Right. Now, why this happened, right? Why Windows was not, why Linux Mint was not pre-selected. There's actually a good reason for that. And I'm glad this happened, because I'm going to demonstrate to you why this happened. We have to select and it's good I'll leave this here so you know what you're dealing with. I'm going to restart, enter into the BIOS settings. This happens because the Windows SSD within the BIOS is the pre-selected one. In this case, we do want to pre-select the Linux Mint one, as we said earlier in the beginning of this video. This is a Linux-centered, Linux-centered case. We don't want Windows to be the boss of the system, sort of speaking. So all you have to do is just go into your BIOS settings, go into the boot tab, and select. Let's say I'm going to select Ubuntu. This is the Linux Mint Mate SSD. I'm going to select that. And as you can see, now Linux Mint is the pre-selected, the first boot option when we boot the system, right? Now all you have to do is press F10 and do save the changes and exit. And let's see what happens when we're done. Let it restart. And let's see how it fares this time, right? pretty sure this will be the Linux system pre-selected. There you have it, right? As you can see, on top is Linux Mint Mate 22.3. And you got the advanced options in case you got any problem with the system and you want to do some changes. And there you go. Windows Boot Manager is now within the GRUB, Linux Mint GRUB bootloader. Now we can select here which system we want to load, right? You can select Linux Mint Mate, which is the first class citizen in this box, or you can go ahead and select Windows Boot Manager, and it will boot you into the Windows system. And again, I'm just gonna load with Linux Mint Mate, as I rarely use Windows anyway. And there you have it. I'm gonna log into the system again. So this was the way to sort of have both. There you go. Another of these effects where the icons show 2 times, but don't worry about that. Nothing to worry really. Upon restart, it should be showing properly everything. So now I'm gonna do the reverse. What I'll do, I'll just switch off the system. Shut it down actually. And I'm gonna do the reverse process where I disconnect the Windows SSD from the system, update the GRUB, and everything will be as we had never ever added the SSD into the GRUB option. We have to first physically disconnect the disk drive, so the SSD. So I'm going to shut the system down and come back, restart recording once this is done. So I've just turned on the system. I will wait for it to load. Let's wait a bit. There it is. And as you can see, it went straight into the Linux Mint Mate. So let's log into it again. And as you can see, first thing, there's not any double icons in here at the bottom of the taskbar. Now let's open up Terminal and check and update the GRUB menu again. I'm gonna increase the font size for you to see easily. And if you press the up arrow key on the keyboard, there it is, the command you typed earlier. I'm gonna type enter in it. Tap enter, press enter. Authorize the changes. As you can see, Windows is not anymore in the boot menu, right? It is as easy as that, right? So there you have it, guys. This is how you do add the dual boot SSD in this case. Hopefully this video was of real help to you, practical help, because this is the goal of these videos, right? To help you in a practical way without relying too much on theory for the sake of it, right? So if this was helpful, do like the video, subscribe, and help the channel grow. And please do let us know in the comments section below the video how you've been faring with the Linux. Have you tried it? Have you even tried to go into it? How do you feel about it? How is the experience so far if you've been trying it? Or if you're a long-time user, share your own tips and tricks on how beginners can go along and do more with it, right? So that's it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful again. Please like and subscribe, and hopefully to see you again in another video. Bye for now.